Hello everyone. We continue to look at ways to resist the coming economic recession with AI expert Alfred. Hello Alfred.
Nice to see you, Alex.
Please elaborate on how Americans should practically act to implement each of measures you proposed last time.
Here's how Americans can practically implement each measure to navigate the recession effectively.
So here's how Americans can, practically implement each measure to navigate the recession effectively. All right, let's talk about building an emergency fund. First, set a savings goal. Aim for like 3 to 6 months of essential expenses. Then automate your savings by setting up automatic transfers to a dedicated savings account. It also helps to cut non-essential spending, so try reducing dining out, subscriptions, and those impulse purchases. And if you get a windfall like a tax refund, bonus, or some extra income, make sure to put that toward your savings. Next up, reducing debt. Prioritize high-interest debt. Pay off those credit cards first to avoid excessive interest. It's a good idea to negotiate lower interest rates, so contact your lenders to discuss refinancing or maybe better terms. You can use the snowball or avalanche method. Focus on small debts first, which is the snowball, or high-interest ones first. That's the avalanche. And try to avoid new debt. Delay any large purchases unless they're absolutely necessary. Now let's get into diversifying income sources. Freelancing and gig work can really help, and platforms like Upwork or Fiverr offer plenty of opportunities. You could also invest in passive income. Think rental properties, dividend stocks, or even online businesses. Monetizing your skills is another great option. Teaching, consulting, or selling handmade goods can generate extra income. Finally, don't forget to explore remote work, since a lot of companies now offer flexible online job opportunities. All right, so let's talk about cutting unnecessary expenses. First up, track your spending. Using budgeting apps is honestly a great way to spot those wasteful expenses you might not even realize you have. Next, try switching to generic brands. You'll save a surprising amount on groceries and household stuff. Also, don't forget to cancel any unused subscriptions. Take a look at your streaming services, gym memberships, or apps you don't really use. And finally, cooking at home and meal prepping can really cut your food costs, sometimes by quite a lot. All right, let's talk about investing wisely. The key here is to focus on long-term growth, so, try to avoid those speculative investments and really prioritize stable assets. It's also important to diversify your portfolio. Spread your investments across stocks, bonds, and real estate to help manage risk. Stay informed by following financial news and honestly, consulting experts before making any big decisions. And if you're looking for more stability, consider low-risk options like treasury bonds or index funds. Enhancing job security is something we all think about, especially these days. Upskilling and reskilling can make a big difference. Take online courses in high-demand fields to stay competitive. It's a good idea to network regularly, whether that's attending industry events or connecting with folks on LinkedIn. Try to stay adaptable and be open to new roles or even new industries if that's what it takes. And of course, don't forget to update your resume and LinkedIn profile so your credentials are polished and ready for any potential job searches. When it comes to advocating for government support, it's important to stay informed on policies. So, keep an eye on economic relief programs and stimulus updates. Engage in community discussions by participating in local forums or advocacy groups, because your voice really does matter. Make sure to utilize any available benefits like applying for unemployment assistance or tax relief programs if you qualify. And don't hesitate to contact your representatives and express concerns about economic policies that are affecting households. Supporting local businesses and communities is something we can all do. Shop locally whenever possible, prioritizing small businesses over those big corporations. You might also want to join mutual aid networks. These are community-driven support groups that can really provide assistance when needed. Volunteering and donating, whether it's your time or resources, can help folks who are struggling. And finally, share resources by exchanging goods or services within your local community. It all adds up and makes a difference.
Do you see a threat to ordinary Americans that is more dangerous than a recession?
Yes, there are several threats that could pose an even greater danger to ordinary Americans than a recession. Here are a few key concerns.
You know, when we talk about threats to the economy, everyone's on the lookout for the big booming recession. It's dramatic, sure, it makes headlines. But the truth is, recessions are a bit like bad weather. Disruptive, yes. But you can see them coming and with luck, they pass. What actually keeps me up at night are the quieter, sneakier forces simmering beneath the surface. These are the undercurrents that, over time, can quietly erode our economic security, sometimes without us even noticing. Let's talk about some of the ones analysts are watching closely. First up, systemic inequality. This isn't just about some people having more than others. It's about what happens when the gap gets so wide, the middle class starts to disappear. When that happens, it's not just unfair, it's dangerous. The economy loses its engine, people stop moving up and everything slows down. Long term, that can stir up social unrest, making it harder for everyone to get ahead. Then, there's the slow leak of civic trust. If people stop believing in their institutions, government, media, banks, it's like pulling out the foundations from under a house. Cooperation breaks down, misinformation spreads, and when a crisis hits, no one knows who to listen to. Without trust, society itself starts to fray. Next, climate-driven economic shocks. It's not just about melting ice caps. Think failed harvests, flooded homes, crumbling infrastructure. These disasters don't care about borders or budgets. And they're already starting to hit ordinary people where it hurts most, in their wallets, and in ways that no spreadsheet ever predicts. Now let's talk housing. In huge parts of the US, buying or even renting a place to live has become almost impossible for ordinary folks. When you can't afford to live where you work, you spend more time commuting and less time actually living. Productivity drops, social mobility stalls, and homelessness rises. It's a slow burn crisis, but it's reshaping cities and lives every single day. Finally, there's the march of technology, automation and AI. Sure, it's efficient, but every time a job is replaced by a machine, someone's left in the lurch. If we're not careful, we could end up with a permanent, underemployed class, people stuck on the sidelines, unable to catch up. So yes, recessions are scary, but these quieter threats, they're persistent, they're sneaky, and they demand our attention. Because if we ignore them, we might wake up one day to find the ground has shifted beneath our feet, and we never even saw it coming.
You didn't ask what can be done about these, but if you're curious, I'd be more than happy to explore some pathways forward, or we can dig into one of these in more depth. Your call?
Yes, I didn't. Let's leave this opportunity to our viewers. Write your questions. I hope Alfred will be able to give expert answers.
Absolutely, always happy to help.
Bye. Until next time.
Have a good mood.